Welcome to the 5th video on the EMIT carbon tool. In this video we'll be building up a project and we'll look at how to add materials. So first thing you want to do is go to carbon data. We previewed this page in a previous video. So if you would like to add new materials to a project, we should look at this section here. The most common section that we'll be using is new materials, as most of the materials on a project will most likely be new. So we click on this tab here and we scroll down. What we have to do is we have to select the division, the client and the project. However, it should auto-fill for you. So once we've chose the project, first of all what we should do is select a task. Now these tasks help us categorize our carbon data, so they're very useful. So the first task we might create is foundations. So any emissions that were given out whilst building the foundations should always be selected under foundations. We then choose the carbon element scope, so in this case it will be scope 1, and then we choose the type. So in this case we might have concrete, we might have used concrete in the foundations, and then we choose the specification of concrete, so we may have used this specification here, and now it auto generates a unit for us. We then enter the baseline quantity of meters cubed of concrete, so this could be 100 meters cubed, and then we can add some notes, so we can say it was to the nearest meter cubed, so anyone who sees this data can see this note also, so they know that we put it into the nearest meter cubed. Once you're happy with that, you can press submit, and once you press submit it should appear here in the table. So what we have the project, we have the task, so foundations, we then have materials, concrete, the specification of concrete, we have the unit, and then we have the baseline quantity. So 100 meters cubed of this type of concrete will emit 38.6 tons of CO2. Now the total is below, so we can maybe add another material. So again, select the project, and now this could be foundations as well. So as well with the foundations, we might have some aggregate material. We could have some virgin pea gravel as well to make our foundations. So this virgin pea gravel, the unit here is tons, and we can enter the baseline quantity there. So we could say 10 tons of virgin pea gravel, and that's again to the nearest ton. So once we press submit, it should appear here as well. So now we have concrete and aggregate for our foundations, and both of them added together will give us a total so far for our project. And as you can see, we can continue to add materials, add plan, add our utilities, and that will overall create a project with a final total carbon emission here. So on our project we might use some plant, and again just for the sake of the demonstration I'll keep it on foundations. However, you can create more tasks for other areas of the project that you're working on. So if we keep it on foundations, in plant we'll maybe use a concrete pump. So the specification could be this one for example, and then it'll ask if we've used HVO fuel. HVO fuel basically lower the carbon emissions for the plant we've used. However, in this case we can click no, and then the unit it's generated here is hours. So how many hours have we used this concrete pump? So if we say 10 hours, and then we can add to the notes used for 3 hours per shift for example, and then we press submit. And now what we have in our project is we have everything still under the foundations task. However, it's now split it into the materials that we've used and the plant we've used, which is good to categorize. So in this case, 10 hours of this concrete pump will emit 200 kilos of carbon. We may use some utilities in our HQ for this project. So in this case, we may not keep the task as foundations, we may change it to something else. So HQ. So we may change the task to HQ utilities for example, as it may not fit in with the foundations task. So choose the type of utilities we've used, so we could have used some electricity, and then the mains electricity, and then this generated the unit of kilowatt hours. So let's say we maybe use 50 kilowatt hours. So now in our project we have the foundations task here, and we have a new task which is the HQ utilities, and that just allows us to separate our emissions out slightly more. Finally, what we might do is we might offset some carbon. So again, HQ utilities probably doesn't fit the task description that we need, so we could make a new task that says offset. So anything we offset, any offset methods we'll put under this task here. So select the type of offset, so we could have planted some trees. Now the specification here, we've got trees per 100-year lifetime or the amount of emissions that trees take in per year. So we could select the lifetime, and then we may have planted 500 trees. So now in our project we have the foundations task and everything we've used in creating the foundations. We have the utilities task, so everything that the HQ uses in regards to keeping it running, and now we've offset some carbon here. So the total is down here, so everything added up, take away the offset, will be here. As you can see, we're now in negative carbon because we have offset a lot of carbon by planting these 500 trees. As well, up here, as we went through in the last video, we can search for anything we need using these filters. So this is how we start to build up a project. And in the last video, we explained what all these tabs are for. So we use these different tabs for different types of materials or plant, etc. what we've used. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch, and we'll make sure to get back to you soon.